speech number 9. Did you jump ahead and do 10 already? Number 10?
I've already finished CC. I'm just doing it.
So you're doing it again.
I just saw the role was empty, so I picked up.
Well, I think that's excellent. Now the important thing is you can do your CC over and over again. So even if this is the first speech you've done, again for your CC, that is something that will count for us for our goal for July by June 30th of next year.
Right.
So if there's other ones you want to do before you go on to advanced ones, or if you want to intermix them, especially if it's something you see a need for, I think that's great. So your speech was persuade with power. While your speech did persuade, there wasn't a lot of power. But your voice, and I've said this before, you have a great speaking voice, and your presence in front of the group is very relaxed, and it seems very, very sincere. Every time you speak, whatever it is you're speaking about, the way you come across is you really mean what you have to say. Now, the catch here was persuade with power. So there's 2 ways to look at power. One is, do you have that presence in front of everybody? And no, you didn't, but that's okay because of your mannerisms that you have. The other side to power, though, is knowledge. Isn't that what everybody says? Knowledge is power. At the beginning of your speech, you referenced an article. You said you read an article and you thought this would be a very good thing to talk about. And who doesn't work in some sort of team? We have families, we have our jobs, we have our communities, whatever. We have these things. But I don't think you ever said what that article was, or even perhaps maybe the magazine. Maybe it was Diversity MBA or something like that you had read it in. Having those sources to back you up add to your credibility. So if you say, this is something that Steve Jobs talked about, this is something Bill Gates talked about, and depending on your crowd, could be anybody. That's the other thing too, is think about who you're going to speak to. So for instance, if you were in your team and you said, I saw this article on eWeb that Lowell or Roger or Shankar or somebody from within the company talked about, that would be like, oh, okay, this could be important because they're an uppity up in the company.
Uppity up.
An uppity up, exactly. Bigger than a Petrobite.
Wow.
You did though provide some facts, some stuff to back you up. You did talk about having your performance reviews and your metrics. And those are things that especially Verizon employees can all relate to. These are all things that we have to deal with. The one other thing that I think would help was maybe a little bit more structure. Not necessarily more facts, but even various emotional pleas, to jump from one emotional plea to the other, that would get people to look at it. You started off very good with a lot of questions. I don't know how much you got everybody's interest, but I know the one thing that got my interest and may have piqued others is we said, who wouldn't want to work for Google or Apple? And everybody who works in IT or most big companies are like, yeah, I'd love to work for them. I'd love to take a slide instead of a set of stairs or an elevator. So, good speech. I commend you for going back and starting on your CC again. Keep going forward, and if you want to talk about any of the advanced books, let me know.